Let's now bring in a Tesla shareholder, CNBC contributor, Sandhills Global Advisors, Brenda Vingiello. Brenda, this is a scenario where a lot of folks have been looking for some kind of catalyst for Tesla to resume a sustained trend higher. Is this the one?
I think it's one of many catalysts that are out there, but I think it's definitely a great vote of confidence. I mean, there were so many questions about whether Elon was really focused on Tesla for a period of time and whether the work that he was doing with the government was really damaging to the brand. And of course, that came in the backdrop of a tough moment for EV sales. But I think if we look at some of the announcements, I mean, this is a company that isn't standing still. They're still innovating. Just last week, talked about a new utility scale battery configuration that should make it faster and more cost effective for that to be implemented at the utility side. Elon also talked about the next generation chip for cars that will be 40 times better than the current chips being used. And then lastly, we also have learned, it's going to be up for vote at the upcoming board meeting later this year about whether or not Tesla should invest cash into xAI. And from my seat, I certainly see a lot of people clamoring for exposure to private companies, especially the larger private companies out there. So I do think that that is going to be of interest for a lot of shareholders to be able to gain exposure to that part of Elon's companies as well.
Brenda, are you, as a shareholder, concerned that Elon Musk is not as focused on Tesla as he should be, given all of those other private market obligations and everything else in his kind of ecosystem? Are you worried, or as a shareholder, do you feel like this is a way to really keep him engaged in Tesla?
Well, I think this has been a question for a long time, right? I think back to even the days when he was buying Twitter or trying not to buy Twitter. And that also was a very distracting period where shareholders really questioned his focus on the company. But it was even at that time that he had an analyst event and really showcased the breadth of other layers of management at Tesla. So I do think that he has the title of CEO, but maybe his role at the company is not really what we normally think of as a traditional CEO. So I do think he has hired good people to be in place to manage the business. I think he's certainly personally excited about a lot of the innovation happening there. But sure, as a shareholder, would we like to see him a little bit more focused on the company? Absolutely. I do think this announcement of his purchase of another $1 billion or so of stock is a great effort to show that he still cares, although relatively speaking, it's a small piece of his overall share of the company. But nevertheless, I also think it helps temper some of the concerns about his pay package, which is also a bit controversial and will be voted on at the upcoming board meeting.
All right, Brenda, while we have you here, because you are in the heart of all things kind of Silicon Valley, can we talk about two other names in the news? Between Alphabet, parent company of Google, and NVIDIA, we've got the $3 trillion club now for Alphabet. We've got some AI chip issues, maybe monopoly concerns out of the Chinese Communist Party. How exactly does that affect how you view both of those stocks as a person who invests in these tech companies?
Sure. Well, I think we've learned, as time has gone on, we've learned more about where we're at in the AI adoption cycle. And I know there's been some questions about that, particularly relative to NVIDIA and whether we're at peak or not. I don't think that we are. Unfortunately, NVIDIA is caught up in this geopolitical mess between the U.S. and China. But I do think that their technology will prevail. They still have the best technology out there, and there still is a ton of demand, including from areas definitely outside of the U.S. with sovereign nations and others that are still building out their infrastructure. So I still think there's a great growth story there. On Google, we're past the antitrust debacle that was weighing on the stock for a while. And I think there's still questions about how traditional search will fare in this market with so many other alternatives within AI. But there's no doubt that Google has spent a ton of money and time and effort over the last decade investing in AI and really does have some strong capabilities there. So I do think the stock trades at a discount to many of the other names for that reason. But so far, they've really proven that the company is still growing and they're actually still in the game.
All right. Brenda Vingiello for All Things Tech, thank you very much. Have a nice day. We'll see you soon.